Have you ever woken up feeling like you're already behind, even before your feet hit the floor? It's that heavy, static-like humming in your chest, a lingering sense of urgency that doesn't actually have a destination. We often call it stress, or we blame it on a bad night's sleep. But usually, it's just the body holding on to yesterday. It is the unspoken weight of everything we didn't have the space to process, the words we swallowed to keep the peace, and the small, quiet heartbreaks we tucked away so we could keep moving forward. We carry our history in the tightness of our shoulders and the shallow, guarded rhythm of our breath. It is the physical residue of every time you had to just get through it without ever actually getting past it. Imagine your body as a vessel. Throughout the day, it collects experiences, not just the big ones, but the microscopic moments of friction, the sharp tone of a stranger, the pressure of a deadline, the internal critic that whispers, "You aren't doing enough." We are taught to be resilient, which we often mistake for being numb. We push these sensations down, stacking them one on top of the other in the dark corners of our muscles and the lining of our nerves. We tell ourselves we are fine because we are still standing. But the body remembers the cost of that endurance. It keeps a record of every moment you braced yourself for a blow that never came, or the times you stayed rigid to hold someone else together. When you wake up with that unexplainable heaviness, you are feeling the gravity of those accumulated moments. It's like trying to run a race while wearing a coat made of lead. You can do it, but the effort is exhausting. And eventually, the weight begins to change the way you move, the way you think, and the way you breathe. This morning, heaviness isn't a flaw in your character. It's a signal from your nervous system that the vessel is full. It is a plea for a release valve, a quiet request to finally put down the bags you've been carrying across time zones of your own life. We often think that because a day is over, its influence is gone. We believe that sleep is a magic eraser, but the nervous system doesn't work on a linear clock. It works on a cycle of completion. If you were startled yesterday and didn't get to shake it off, that energy is still vibrating inside you this morning. If you felt a deep wave of sadness, but pushed it aside to finish a task, that sadness is still sitting in the pit of your stomach, waiting for its turn to be acknowledged. This unspoken weight is simply energy that has no place to go. It is a story that hasn't been told, a cry that was stifled, a tremor that was suppressed. Before we try to fix the day ahead, before we check the emails or look at the mounting to-do list, we have to acknowledge the quiet burden we're already carrying. We have to be brave enough to sit with that heavy humming and say, "I feel you." We have to recognize that our fatigue isn't always about a lack of sleep, but a lack of release. Healing begins the moment we stop pretending the weight isn't there. It begins when we allow ourselves to be heavy, to be tired, and to be human, before we demand ourselves to be productive. This first section of your day isn't about fixing yourself. It's about witnessing yourself. It's about looking at that invisible coat of lead and deciding, just for a few minutes, that you don't have to wear it anymore. You are allowed to arrive into this new morning without the baggage of every morning that came before it. You are allowed to breathe without asking permission from your past. Our nervous system is an incredible, tireless record keeper. It doesn't care about the logic of your calendar, the deadlines you've met, or the social obligations you've fulfilled. It cares deeply and exclusively about how safe you feel in your own skin. It is a silent ledger, a living map of everything you have survived. While your mind might forget the specifics of a stressful month or a difficult conversation from 3 years ago, your body stores the data in the language of sensation. It lives in the way your heart rate spikes when you hear a certain tone of voice, or the way your breath catches in your throat when you enter a room that feels just a little too crowded. Think about those moments when you've had to swallow your words to keep the peace. You felt the lump in your throat, a physical manifestation of something that needed to be said but was forced back down. You might have forgotten the argument, but the tension in your neck remains as a placeholder for that unspoken truth. Or consider the times you tightened your jaw during a difficult drive, bracing yourself against the chaos of the road. Those moments don't just vanish because the clock struck midnight and a new day began. They settle into the deep tissues, becoming a baseline of tension that we eventually stop noticing because it has become our normal. We become strangers to our own relaxation, forgetting what it feels like to be truly soft. This ledger is written in the language of the autonomic nervous system. When we experience a threat, whether it's a genuine danger or just a sharp email from a supervisor, our body prepares for battle. It pulls resources away from digestion and rest, redirecting everything to our limbs and our heart. In a natural cycle, that energy is meant to be used and then discharged. But in our modern lives, we rarely get the all-clear signal. We stay in a state of low-grade simmer, never fully boiling over, but never cooling down. We carry the fight in our clenched fists and the flight in our restless legs, even as we sit perfectly still at a desk. Over time, this ledger becomes heavy. It begins to color our perception of the world. When the body is holding on to too much recorded stress, the world starts to look like a series of problems to be solved, rather than a life to be lived. You might find yourself feeling irritable over a small spill in the kitchen, not because the mess is a disaster, but because your ledger is already full. There is no more room for even a drop of extra stress. This is why just relaxing feels so impossible sometimes. You aren't just trying to relax from today's chores, you're trying to relax against a decade of accumulated bracing. This morning isn't just a new start on a calendar. It's a vital opportunity to clear the ledger of those small, accumulated debts. We have to learn how to talk back to our bodies, not with more thoughts or logic, but with the language the body understands: touch, rhythm, and presence. When you put your hand on your chest and feel the rise and fall of your ribs, you are sending a message to the ledger that the debt has been acknowledged. You are saying, I see how hard you've been working to protect me. Discharging this stored energy is an act of profound self-compassion. It is the process of going back through the pages of your physical history and gently erasing the tension that no longer serves a purpose. It's realizing that you don't need to hold your breath to stay safe anymore. You are allowed to let the muscles in your back soften. You are allowed to let your belly relax. As you move through these first few minutes of the day, imagine you are auditing this ledger, finding every place where you've been holding on to an old debt of fear or urgency, and simply letting it go. You are reclaiming your energy from the past so that you can actually use it for your future. You are teaching your body that it doesn't have to keep score anymore. It just has to be here, now, in the quiet safety of this moment. Carl Jung once said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate." Most of us are living out a fate dictated by a nervous system stuck in survival mode, and we don't even realize it. We think our personality is just being a worrier, or short-tempered, or always tired. But often, these aren't personality traits at all. They are symptoms of a body that has forgotten how to stop fighting. When you are stuck in this cycle, your life becomes a series of reactions rather than a series of choices. You aren't living. You are simply managing a persistent state of emergency that never seems to end. Think about the last time you snapped at a loved one over something trivial. A misplaced set of keys, a dish left in the sink, a slightly late text. In the moment, your anger felt justified, perhaps even necessary. But later, in the quiet, you wondered why such a small thing caused such a massive explosion. It wasn't about the keys. It was because your internal pressure cooker was already at its limit. Your nervous system was already at 90% capacity just from surviving the day. And that one small inconvenience pushed you to 101%. When we are in the cycle of survival, we lose the buffer between an event and our response. We react with the intensity of someone being chased, even when we are just standing in our own kitchen. Discharging trauma isn't always about revisiting massive, life-altering events or digging through the archives of your past. Often, it is about the daily, quiet habit of releasing the fight or flight energy that never got to finish its cycle. When something scares us or stresses us out, our body creates a massive amount of energy to help us deal with it. In a natural setting, we would use that energy to run or protect ourselves, and then our body would shake it off and return to baseline. But in our modern world, we just sit with it. We sit in the meeting while our heart races. We stay silent while our muscles tighten. That energy has nowhere to go, so it stays inside, spinning like a motor that won't turn off. Breaking the cycle means learning to recognize the survival hum before it turns into a scream. It's noticing the moment your breath gets shallow or your heart starts to pound. And instead of pushing through, you pause. You give that energy a way out. This morning, as you feel that familiar rush to get started, ask yourself, am I running toward something I love? Or am I running away from a feeling I'm afraid to have? Survival mode makes everything feel like a threat, including rest. It tells you that if you stop, something bad will happen. It tells you that your worth is tied to how much you can endure. But there is a different way to live. Breaking the cycle starts with the radical act of slowing down when every fiber of your being is telling you to speed up. It's about teaching your brain that the emergency is over. When you consciously choose to take a slow breath, to move with intention, or to sit in silence for 5 minutes, you are staging a small rebellion against your survival instincts. You are proving to your nervous system that you are safe enough to be still. This isn't just about feeling better in the moment. It's about changing the trajectory of your life. When you stop living from a place of survival, your fate begins to change. You start to see possibilities where you once only saw obstacles. You find that you have more patience, more creativity, and more room in your heart for the people around you. You move from a state of constant defense to a state of open curiosity. Today, don't just survive your life. Don't just check the boxes and wait for the day to be over. Break the cycle by being the one who decides that the war is over. Give yourself permission to lay down your weapons and finally, truly, come home to yourself. The way you meet the morning determines the lens through which you see the entire world. Most of us don't realize that we begin our day by handing over our peace to things that haven't even happened yet. If your first instinct upon opening your eyes is to reach for your phone, to flood your brain with the loud opinions of strangers, the urgent demands of your inbox, or the heavy weight of global news, you are essentially telling your nervous system to stay on high alert. You are inviting the chaos of the outside world into the sacred, quiet space of your awakening. Before you have even had a chance to remember who you are, you have already told your brain that there are 1,000 things to fear and 1,000,000 things to fix. Instead of that immediate rush into the digital noise, try to find the gap. There is a tiny golden window between waking up and doing. It is in this small, fragile space that we can choose to settle the body and set the tone for everything that follows. Think of these first 5 minutes as the foundation of a building. If the foundation is laid in a state of panic and distraction, the rest of the day will feel unstable and fragile. But if those first 5 minutes are rooted in presence, the storms that come later will have a much harder time knocking you over. It starts with a simple choice: to stay within yourself just a little longer. Before you sit up, notice the warmth of the sheets against your skin. Notice the way the light filters into the room. This isn't just about being mindful. It is about biological safety. By focusing on your immediate physical surroundings, you are sending a direct signal to your brain that you are okay. You are teaching your nervous system that the immediate environment is secure, that there is no predator to run from, and that your internal alarm system, which has likely been humming all night, can finally stand down. We often underestimate how much power we have in these moments. We feel like the morning happens to us, but these 5 minutes are where you take your agency back. It is about moving from a state of reacting to a state of intentionality. You don't need a complicated ritual or a list of tasks to accomplish. You just need to be there, with yourself, without judgment. You might feel a rush of anxiety about the day's schedule, but instead of chasing that thought, you can gently bring yourself back to the rhythm of your own heart. Imagine what it would feel like to start your day without a sense of debt. When we rush into the doing, we are acting as though we are already behind. But when we claim these first 5 minutes for ourselves, we are operating from a place of abundance. We are telling ourselves, I am important enough to be the first person I check in with today. This simple redirection of your attention pulls your energy back into your center. It builds a buffer, a layer of calm that acts as a shock absorber for the rest of your life. If you find your mind wandering to the what-ifs or the frustrations of yesterday, don't be hard on yourself. Just notice it and come back to the breath. The power isn't in being perfectly still. The power is in the act of returning to yourself over and over again. These 5 minutes are a promise you make to your nervous system. You are saying, I see you. I'm here. We don't have to hurry yet. By the time you finally do step out of bed and into the world, you aren't doing it as a victim of your circumstances. You are doing it as someone who has already found their center. You carry that quiet, steady hum of safety with you, and it becomes the quiet strength that carries you through everything else. Start by simply noticing where you've built your armor. We all have it, those invisible plates of mail we strap on just to survive the friction of being alive. For some of us, it's in the brow, pulled tight in a perpetual frown of concentration or worry. For others, it's a stomach that never quite feels soft, held in as if expecting a blow, or a jaw clenched so tightly that the muscles have forgotten how to hang loose. We often hold ourselves together so tightly that we forget how to let go. We mistake this tension for strength, believing that if we remain rigid, we will be harder to break. But a branch that cannot bend is the first to snap in a storm. True resilience isn't found in the hardness of your armor, but in the flexibility of your spirit. Try to consciously drop your shoulders right now. Just let them fall away from your ears, where they've likely been perched all morning like 2 sentinels on guard. As you do this, you might feel a strange sensation, a wave of fatigue, a sudden heaviness, or even an unexpected urge to sigh or cry. Don't be afraid of that. That isn't weakness. That's the discharge. It's the energy of past tension finally leaving the building because it finally feels safe enough to exit. When we soften the body, we are doing something much more profound than just relaxing a muscle. We are giving our mind permission to stop scanning for threats. We are telling the oldest parts of our brain that the war is over, at least for this moment. Think about how much energy it takes to maintain that armor. It's exhausting to stay braced against the world 24 hours a day. It drains your creativity, your patience, and your joy. When you are armored up, you are protected, yes, but you are also disconnected. You can't feel the warmth of the sun or the softness of a breeze if you're encased in steel. By softening, you are choosing to be reachable again. You are choosing to be present. It's a quiet act of courage to let your belly be soft, to let your hands be open instead of balled into fists, and to let your breath reach all the way down to the places you've kept locked away. This softening is an invitation. It's an invitation for your nervous system to come back to a state of rest and repair. Imagine the tension melting off you like wax, dripping away and leaving you lighter. You might feel a tingle in your fingertips or a sudden warmth in your chest. These are signs that your life force is moving again, no longer blocked by the walls you built to stay safe. You are realizing that you don't have to be a fortress to be okay. You can just be a person, breathing in a room, supported by the earth beneath you. As you move through this process, be gentle with yourself. Your armor was built for a reason. It protected you when you didn't have any other way to stay safe. Thank it for its service, but let it know it's okay to take a break. You don't need to carry the weight of your protection into every new hour. This morning, let the doing wait. Let the fixing wait. Just focus on the undoing. Undo the knots in your back, undo the grip in your hands, and undo the story that you have to be on to be worthy. In the softness, you will find a strength that is much more durable than the tension you've left behind. You are learning that you are safe enough to be seen, safe enough to feel, and safe enough to simply exist without defense. There is a profound, ancient intelligence in rhythm. Long before we had words to describe our pain or logic to solve our problems, we had the rhythm of our own hearts and the steady cadence of our breath. When we feel overwhelmed, or when the weight of the past starts to press in on us, our internal rhythm becomes jagged, fast, and fragmented. Our thoughts race, our heart flutters like a trapped bird, and our movements become sharp and reactive. To reset, we have to introduce a different beat. We have to override the chaos with a deliberate, gentle tempo that reminds the body it is no longer in an emergency. This doesn't require a complicated manual or a perfectly timed exercise. It starts with the simplest rhythm of all, the breath. Most of us breathe as if we are running out of air, shallow, high in the chest, and hurried. To release the stored energy of trauma, we have to change the song. Try to find a slow, deliberate exhale that lasts just a little bit longer than the inhale. When you lengthen that exhale, you are literally tapping on the shoulder of your nervous system and whispering, "It's okay to settle." You are moving the energy out. Think of it like a tide. The inhale gathers the tension, and the long, slow exhale carries it out to sea, leaving the shore of your mind just a little bit cleaner than it was before. But rhythmic release isn't just about the breath. It's about inhabiting the physical space you occupy with a new sense of timing. You can find this release in the way you move your body this morning. If you feel that frantic go, go, go energy. Try to do the opposite. Move your neck in a slow, luxurious circle. Stretch your arms wide, feeling the pull of the muscles as they reach for the corners of the room. There is no rush here. In this moment, there are no deadlines that matter more than the rhythm of your own recovery. When you move slowly and rhythmically, you are showing your brain that there is no predator to run from. You are reclaiming the pace of your life from the hands of your stress. We often forget that we are rhythmic beings. We thrive on the rise and fall of the day, the ebb and flow of the seasons. When we get stuck in trauma, we get stuck in a static state, a frozen, never-ending moment of high alert. Rhythmic movement breaks that ice. It might be the simple act of swaying slightly as you stand, or the rhythmic tapping of your feet on the floor. These small, repetitive motions acts as a bridge. They take the fight or flight energy that is frozen in your limbs and give it a path to flow through and out of you. You are moving from a state of reacting to a state of being. Think about how a child is soothed, not with logic, but with a gentle rocking. You can provide that same comfort to yourself. As you move through these rhythms, you might feel a sudden release of pressure in your chest. You might feel your muscles finally stop humming. That is the sound of your nervous system coming back into harmony. You are teaching yourself that you can create your own calm, regardless of what is happening in the world outside your door. As you transition into the activities of your day, try to carry this rhythm with you. Don't let the world dictate the tempo of your heart. If the day starts to feel jagged, come back to that one long, slow exhale. Come back to a deliberate, rhythmic stretch. You are the conductor of your own internal orchestra, and you have the power to slow down the music whenever it becomes too loud. This rhythmic release is your way of saying that you are no longer a victim of the pace of your past. You are the one who decides how you move, how you breathe, and how you live. You are finding your way back to the steady, peaceful beat of a heart that knows it is safe. We often try to think our way out of feeling bad, as if we can outsmart our own distress. But the body doesn't speak in language. It speaks in sensation. And it doesn't know how to lie. When we talk about the shadow, we aren't talking about something dark or evil. We are talking about the parts of ourselves we've pushed into the basement because they were too loud, too messy, or too inconvenient for the life we were trying to build. These are the feelings we were told were wrong, the anger we weren't allowed to express, the grief we had to hide to look strong, or the deep, aching vulnerability we felt ashamed of. Carl Jung noted, "I am not what happened to me. I am what I choose to become." Choosing who you become starts with the courageous act of walking into that basement and turning on the light. Integrating the shadow means making peace with the parts of yourself that feel stuck or too much. If you wake up and feel a heavy tightness in your chest or a knot of unexplained anxiety in your stomach, your first instinct might be to push it away. You might try to distract yourself with work, scroll through your phone, or tell yourself to just get over it. But when we fight a feeling, we give it power. We turn a passing sensation into a permanent resident. To integrate is to stop fighting. It is to sit on the edge of the bed and say to that tightness, I see you. You're allowed to be here. When we stop judging our internal states, the feelings often lose their grip on us. Think about how much energy it takes to keep a beach ball submerged underwater. The moment you let go, it pops to the surface, and the struggle is over. Integrating your shadow is that act of letting go. It's realizing that your anger might just be a protective wall for a heart that was once hurt, or that your anxiety is just a nervous system trying its best to keep you safe. These parts of you aren't your enemies. They are the wounded versions of you that never got to finish their story. When you acknowledge them, without trying to change them, they finally start to relax. This process is what makes us whole. We spend so much of our lives trying to be perfect or good, but perfection is a brittle, exhausting state. Wholeness, on the other hand, is resilient. It's being able to say, I am both strong and afraid. I am both healing and still hurting. By bringing these hidden pieces into the light of your morning awareness, you are reclaiming the energy you used to spend hiding them. You are no longer a house divided against itself. You are a person who can hold the full spectrum of the human experience. Integration isn't about being fixed. It's about being grounded enough to handle the day. It's the realization that you don't have to be afraid of your own internal weather. Just as the sky can hold a thunderstorm and still be the sky, you can hold your heavy emotions and still be you. This morning, as you breathe through those sticky, difficult sensations, remember that you are expanding your capacity to live. You are becoming a person who doesn't have to run away from themselves anymore. You are choosing to become someone who can stand in the middle of their own life, shadows and all, and say, this is Mia, and I am enough. If you've spent years navigating change or healing from past hurt, your ground might feel shaky, almost as if the floor beneath you is made of shifting sand. When we live through periods of high stress or transition, our focus naturally drifts upward into our racing thoughts, our frantic plans, and the swirling what-ifs that keep us up at night. We become untethered, living entirely in the attic of our minds, while the rest of the house sits empty. Grounding is the simple, radical practice of coming back down the stairs. It is the act of returning to the tangible, physical world that exists right here, right now, outside of the stories your anxiety is telling you. Grounding is a way of reminding your nervous system that you are physically safe in this immediate moment. This morning, try to move your attention away from the invisible problems of tomorrow and toward the three things you can feel right now. Feel the texture of your blanket. Is it soft, heavy, or cool? Notice the temperature of the air against your skin. feel the weight of your own hands resting in your lap. These might seem like small, insignificant details, but to a stressed nervous system, they are lifelines. They are the anchors that pull you out of the stormy seas of your past and the fog of your future, tethering you to the only moment where healing can actually happen, the present one. When we are ungrounded, we are easily knocked over by the slightest breeze of a difficult comment or a minor setback. But when we are grounded, we develop a different kind of strength, a quiet, heavy stability. Think about a tall building. Its strength doesn't come from its height, but from how deep its foundations go into the earth. By finding your ground each morning, you are deepening your own foundations. You are training yourself to stay present, even when things feel uncertain. You are learning that while you cannot control the weather, you can control how firmly you stand within it. This practice is especially vital when you are healing. Trauma and change often make us feel like we don't belong in our own lives, or like we are just passing through. Grounding is how you reclaim your territory. It's how you say, I am here. I am in this room. I am in this body. It is a physical declaration of your right to exist and to take up space. As you feel the floor supporting your feet, imagine that support rising up to meet you. You don't have to hold yourself up all by yourself. The earth is doing its part, too. You are allowed to let your weight settle. You are allowed to be heavy. In these first few minutes of the day, don't worry about being productive or being better. Just worry about being here. If you find your mind wandering back to a painful memory or a stressful projection, don't be angry with yourself. Just notice the drift and gently bring your focus back to the feeling of your feet on the rug or the warmth of a morning cup in your hands. This simple redirection is an act of profound self-care. It anchors you. It reminds you that despite everything that has changed, the ground is still there, steady and reliable, waiting for you to step onto it. You are no longer drifting. You are home. Every morning that you choose to reset, you are doing far more than just calming your nerves. You are rewriting the very architecture of your inner world. We often think of ourselves as finished products, static buildings that are either standing strong or falling apart. But the truth is that our internal landscape is a living, breathing structure. It is shaped by every habit, every thought, and every moment of attention we give to ourselves. When you live in a state of chronic stress, the architecture of your life becomes narrow and cramped, built entirely of survival walls and emergency exits. But when you consciously choose to breathe, to ground yourself, and to release what no longer serves you, you are knocking down those old, suffocating walls and making room for something beautiful to grow. You are building a capacity for resilience that isn't based on toughing it out or white-knuckling your way through life. Instead, you are building a home that is based on being deeply, authentically tuned in. Self-discovery isn't a mountain peak you reach after years of climbing. It is the quiet clarity you find when the static of your nervous system finally dies down. It is what remains when the noise of everyone else's expectations and the echoes of your own past fears finally go silent. In that silence, you start to see the blueprints of who you actually are, beneath the layers of protection you've had to wear for so long. Think about the relief of walking into a room that is finally clean, where the air is fresh and the light is clear. That is what happens inside you when you practice this morning reset. You are clearing out the cluttered hallways of your mind, removing the heavy furniture of old regrets and the debris of yesterday's anxieties. This internal space is where your creativity lives, where your intuition speaks, and where your capacity to love, both yourself and others, is born. You are realizing that you are not the trauma that happened to you, and you are not the stress you feel. You are the vast, steady awareness that experiences those things, and that awareness is inherently calm, capable, and whole. This architecture of the self is built stone by stone, breath by breath. It is found in the way you choose to talk to yourself when you're struggling, and the way you honor your body's need for rest. Every time you choose presence over distraction, you are adding a window to your inner home, allowing more light to reach the places that have been dark for years. You are learning that you don't have to look outside of yourself for the answers to your life. The discovery is simply the act of uncovering what was already there: a spirit that is unbroken, a heart that is resilient, and a self that is waiting to be known. As you stand in this newly cleared space, notice how much more room there is to breathe. Notice how the colors of your life seem a bit more vivid when you aren't looking through the fog of survival mode. This is the foundation of a life lived with intention. You are no longer just reacting to the world. You are responding from a place of deep internal stability. You are the architect of your own peace, and today you have built something that can weather any storm. You are learning that the most important discovery you will ever make isn't a destination or an achievement, but the simple, profound reality of your own being, steady, safe, and finally free to grow. As you transition into the rest of your day, remember that you can return to this reset at any time. It isn't a one-and-done event, or a box to be checked off before you rush into the chaos. It's a living relationship you're building with yourself. The peace you've cultivated in these quiet moments doesn't have to stay here, confined to the edge of your bed or the four walls of this room. It is a portable sanctuary, a steady undercurrent that you can carry into every conversation, every task, and every challenge that lies ahead. You are moving into the world not as a victim of your circumstances, but as a person who carries their own center within them. When you feel that familiar hum of tension rising again at noon, or during a difficult meeting, or while you're navigating the friction of daily life, take a moment to pause. You don't need a formal ritual. You just need to remember. Drop your shoulders, lengthen your exhale, and feel the ground beneath your feet. In that single breath, you are reclaiming the work you did this morning. You are reminding your nervous system that the all clear signal still stands. You've already done the hard work of clearing the slate. Now, your only job is to live from that place of centeredness, one heartbeat at a time. This is the practice of carrying the calm. It's the realization that while you cannot control the world outside, the traffic, the deadlines, the moods of others, you are the absolute guardian of your internal environment. You are no longer a leaf being blown about by the wind. You are the tree, rooted and resilient. When things get loud, you have the tools to turn down the volume. When the pace speeds up, you have the power to stay slow on the inside. You are learning to navigate your life with a sense of spaciousness, giving yourself the room to respond with wisdom rather than reacting with fear. Think of this calm as a gentle warmth that you keep in your pocket. It's there for you whenever the world feels cold or sharp. It's a quiet promise you've made to your own heart that you will not abandon yourself today, no matter how busy it gets. By staying connected to your body and your breath, you are staying connected to your strength. You are proving to yourself that you are safe enough to handle whatever comes your way, not because you are perfect, but because you are present. As you step into the noise and the light of the day, do it with an open heart. Know that you have already given yourself the greatest gift possible, the gift of your own presence. This reset wasn't just about preparing for a day. It was about honoring your life. You are moving forward with a nervous system that is settled, a mind that is clear, and a spirit that is ready to engage with the world on its own terms. Carry this calm forward like a torch, letting it light your way through the shadows and guide you back home to yourself whenever you feel lost. You have everything you need. You are grounded, you are whole, and you are finally, beautifully, at peace. As the sun climbs higher and the quiet of the early morning begins to fade into the steady rhythm of the world, take one last moment to simply exist in this space you've created. You are standing at the threshold of a new day, but you are not the same person who woke up an hour ago. By choosing to meet your nervous system with compassion instead of judgment, you have shifted the very foundation of your experience. You have moved from a state of racing to a state of being. This is the essence of the unbroken spirit, not a spirit that has never known pain, but one that refuses to be defined by it. Your history has shaped you, but it does not have to store itself within you as a permanent weight. We often believe that healing is a destination we will one day reach, a place where the shadows disappear and the ledger is permanently clear. But true healing is found in the daily decision to return to yourself. It is found in the small, quiet acts of reclamation, the long exhale in a traffic jam, the dropping of the shoulders during a difficult conversation, the 5 minutes of silence before the house wakes up. Carl Jung once observed, "The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are." This morning, you have claimed that privilege. You have looked at the architecture of your survival and decided to build something more expansive, more light-filled, and more honest. Remember that your nervous system is a living, breathing part of you that deserves your patience. There will be days when the fight or flight response feels louder than others, and there will be moments when you feel the old armor trying to snap back into place. When that happens, don't see it as a failure. See it as your body trying to protect you the only way it knows how. Meet that tension with a smile and a breath, and gently lead yourself back to the ground. You are building a new language with your body. And like any language, it takes time to become fluent. But every time you choose to reset, you are making the path back to peace a little shorter and a little easier to find. As you move forward, carry the realization that you are the steward of your own internal landscape. You have the power to discharge the static of the past and to curate the energy of your present. You are not a victim of your biology or a prisoner of your history. You are a person of profound depth and resilience, capable of navigating change with grace and meeting healing with an open heart. The heaviness you felt this morning was not a sign of your brokenness. It was simply the weight of a story that was waiting to be released. Let this calm stay with you as a quiet confidence. Let it be the steady beat beneath the noise of your tasks and the clarity behind your decisions. You have done the work of coming home to yourself, and that home is a place of safety, strength, and infinite possibility. The day ahead will have its challenges, its rhythms, and its surprises, but you meet them now from a place of wholeness. You are grounded. You are integrated. You are free to begin. Go gently into your day, knowing that you carry within you an unbroken spirit that knows exactly how to find its way back to the light.